All righty, we are here. Yes, we are here. Talking about And Just Like That. We are here, season 2 after show. I am James Lott Jr., and I'm here as my girl, all things Sex in the City, Emily May. Hi, Miss Emily.
Hi.
Yeah, we're both burning up in our respective cities. Like, I have like 10 fans on me right now. It's like kind of crazy. You look really good, Emily. I like it. I like the outfit. I love the color.
Thank you. It's my second outfit of the day, you know?
Yeah. I think, as you said, I'm like thinking, I did wear a different shirt this morning for another interview. It's like, yeah, probably am. I probably got several outfits. I'll be taking a shower tonight, clearly. It's going to be kind of crazy. But we are here to talk about And Just Like That, season 2, episode 5. And I tell you, I laughed my buns off. It was hilarious. It reminded me of glimpses of old Sex in the City, saw some familiar faces that I knew from other shows, some other things that popped up in here. And everybody got screen time. It was kind of crazy, a little bit, just about all the women got screen time. It was interesting. Emily, what did you think about what do you think about this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like last week's episode felt very Sex in the City, and then this episode was a good like follow-up to that.
Yes.
So I felt like it was a little bit lighter on well, it did get a little spicy. It did get some spiciness from a new, I guess, romantic interest, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, right. But, yes.
But the kind of the normal couples we've been following, it was maybe less spicy, but they got a little bit more in depth into what's going on with everyone. So I felt like there was a lot more story. There's a lot more just, thought, like methodical stuff behind what's happening with these characters. So it wasn't just as like fluff as like maybe the first few episodes were, but this got a little bit gritty here. So
I'm glad, I completely agree with you. From last episode, this one, it's the middle of the season. So we're in the middle of the season. And I think it's good to have just a couple episodes where nothing super major happens, nothing too crazy happens, but some fun stuff happens.
Exactly. Like you have to level set. So you have to like get everyone like hooked the first few episodes, and then you kind of calm down a bit. And then obviously we'll talk about it. We saw this trailer, so we'll, I think it's going to ramp back up. I think it's going to ramp back up.
And I think so too. But some story, like you said, there's some story that did move forward. There's some story in there. So it wasn't super fluff, or wasn't all fluff, no fluff, how the words are. You know what I mean? Yes. And everybody who's watching, hello everybody. Thanks for coming in. Make sure you watch us. Come to the chat room. We are live and in living color. We are talking about the show. Okay, so we always start with each of the girls. Well, like I said, every girl had a storyline basically. So I will start with Charlotte because that was kind of fun and unexpected. That Rock wanted to be a model, so to speak, for Ralph Lauren, which is like such. I mean, from the first series, that is so Charlotte. That was so 90s. I mean, Ralph Lauren. I have some Ralph Lauren towels, girl. I love them. That's another story. So what do you think about that storyline? Let's talk about that one. What do you think?
I mean, I love how like you had the juxtaposition of Charlotte and Harry. Like Harry's like, no, I'm protecting my dog, like protecting my child. Like they're not going to be doing this modeling. Like it's not going to happen. And Charlotte's like, yes, we're doing it, right? And I love seeing the different parenting styles because it's very relatable, and you definitely have different parents that will react differently. I feel like especially dads might be a little bit more protective, but again, I'm not a parent, but you see that in a lot of like movies and TV and pop culture that like dads might get a little more protective. But I found it interesting because again, we know how important that brand is to Charlotte. We know that this is a big just kind of a really big like kind of it's honoring the series a bit, right? Because you go back and just think of all of those fashion moments. And so I think it's really appropriate that it's kind of coming full circle a bit. And I like it, right? And it's establishing like the next generation of fashionistas and passing on that kind of fashion sense. And I feel like we haven't really, we had that episode with all of all those clothes that were getting sold. So it's like, all right, how do we move on to that next chapter?
Yeah, because the clothes are very important. The fashion was part of the city. But with I forgot before I even mentioned that the big opening thing was this episode's called Trick or Treat. So we're in the fall. It's near Halloween, which I love the time in New York. All the stoops. I'm like, oh, I miss all the stoops in New York. And for this part of the story that made me laugh so hard was Harry's hair. Harry's hair was, I'm going to just 5 times fast. Harry's hair was hilarious. It was hilarious. I love. He's like, it's like me when I was 13 years old. I love it. It was so much. And Carrie's like, I like the hair, and just him. I mean, oh God, there's something that they were the Americans, and nobody got it.
I love it. Well, I love how he can make fun of himself a little bit without knowing that he's really making fun of himself. Where he'll just, and I like that it's that juxtaposition. Charlotte takes herself so seriously sometimes, and so she needs Harry to say, "Hey, let's be a little silly. Let's like wear a funny wig. Let's wear a funny outfit." And I think he helps balance her out a lot. But I loved this Halloween party. I feel like we're rushing so fast into the season. I was like, wait, it's July. Oh wait, no. In this world, we're in October.
We have to have the Christmas episodes. We have to have a lot of New Year. We have to have some. We have to have those certain ones. I think every Sex and the City every year always does. So I think that's what it goes through. It was like, was it just summer last week? Yeah, it was. It was summer. The kids were away. Yeah. So now I guess they're back. But anyway, so that was kind of funny. And homegirl LW was a Bride of Frankenstein.
Loved it. I loved that.
I did. She was good. Her and Anthony were dancing on the dance floor, getting down the dance floor. It was fun. And then Carrie was Helen Gurley Brown, which was hilarious. So like, you wore that dress before, like that was hilarious. And Miranda didn't dress up. Of course, she didn't dress up. That's Miranda.
But how do you feel about oh my gosh, what's his name? The Bride of Frankenstein, and like that he didn't want to dress up.
Herbert,
yeah,
yes.
He didn't want to dress up, and that he was like, no, I can't have, like, because they're getting into the politics mode, right? Yes, of like running for a public office.
Yes.
That you have to think about that. So I found that interesting. That's a different couple, that you're seeing the juxtaposition, the contrast.
Yes.
That it might cause some trouble a little later.
In the chat, Anne says, Harry's hair is giving Jeffrey Dahmer. I know that guy has that same kind of haircut.
Oh my God, that's what I was thinking when watching it. I was like, oh God, even didn't he had glasses too, right?
Yes.
I could sense that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Naya was Eartha Kitt's Catwoman. She was good. She looked good at that. Those were the costumes. But anyway, so because why I bring it up is because Harry was so like, and I was hoping nothing would go wrong. I was like, please don't be right. But he's a lawyer, and he was like, somebody can sit right with me. And it was funny when they were there, he shows up with the hair and the glasses, the oven. I was laughing so hard. She's like, get out. And just with this little cute conversation, we realized, like you just said, he was always a cool dad. She was mean mommy. And so this time, it was the reverse.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, you don't want to break that trust. You got to go. Don't get in trouble. He was just like, she's like, dude. I was laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. He was just like, just get in there, and he was leaving us all. Just stuff. Yeah. I just thought that was just kind of fun. But like you said, the little grit part of it was he wasn't the cool dad at this time. He was so nervous. She was the cool mom, and because it was her wheelhouse.
Yeah,
so I think it's her wheelhouse.
I think so. Yeah, and I liked how like there was that that kind of reversal of roles, because again, in parenting styles, you kind of always have that bad cop and the good cop, right? Yeah. So I liked how Charlotte kind of had her could have her moment and be like the cool parent for a little bit, because I could see her kind of, which we've seen her be like really uptight about things. Oh, yeah. So it's nice that she like loosened up, agreed to do this, and she was there. Like it's it's obviously important to have a parent there when they're underage and you're doing something like this, but I think
that's what I was saying. I'm going, it's still Charlotte. Like Charlotte's not gonna let anything happen to her. I mean,
no, Charlotte will be there and will stay. Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought it was nice change that it wasn't Lily, the other daughter. It was Rock / Rose. That was her. And they were kind of doing a non-binary campaign, so to speak, kind of. So, but it was family. So it was very cool. They were doing something different, and it's also going to show. I mean, I don't want to see Rock fighting with her mother all the time. Like after a while, he gets old. After a while, yes, I mean, teenagers, we do know you fight back and forth. But you got to show some some kind of happy moments with them. I'm
Yeah.
glad they did. I'm glad they did. So that's happening over there. Then we'll go to Naya because she decided to go out. Her, Charlotte, and Seema decided to go out to a very expensive hotel bar. Now, here's what's funny, Emily May. I was told this recently myself. I should go to a hotel bar somewhere. And I thought that's hilarious. This is coming up in my life. Like, James, you're of a certain age, and you should go to a bar. I live by the airport, LAX. Like, you should go to the bars and hang out. So that's something I'm going to try it. I'll report back to all you guys. I'm going to try it myself.
Oh.
It's funny that was told to me also recently. So the fact that they were doing it, oh my God, I couldn't stop laughing also. And when first Seema gets somebody, and then Nia's like, is this an aquarium? I was just like, look, I was like, it's an aquarium. I thought it was a hilarious line. And with Seema, she meets a guy that I know, Daniel Cosgrove, from the soap operas. We got to see him on TV. Here's an interesting story. We'll get there in a second. But he has this whole booze line or whatever, needleman or whatever. Then Nia got this very good looking chocolatey man over here with the earrings.
Yes.
Over this side. And apparently with Nia, she did do. And she had the walk of shame, so to speak. It was a walk of shame. But she was like, wow, one night stand. She was like, okay. So I tell Miranda, she was like totally getting into it. You think?
Yeah, I mean, I liked this moment. Like, I felt like this was one of those moments that felt like really Sex and the City-esque, going to all the clubs, the lounges, the dinners, the late night, cosmopolitan outings, So I felt like this felt like old Sex and the City, where you're like, each person is like, all right, bye. We're going to go have our own. And I like how each outcome was a little bit different.
Yes.
I mean, that's an understatement, but yeah.
Yeah, it's that's where it felt like Sex and the City. Okay, so Nia's thing was cute. So her and Miranda are talking later, and which we'll talk about Miranda's storyline probably towards the end. But offered her a place to stay with her because the whole Che thing was happening. So we'll get to that whole story. I know you have a lot to say about that. We'll get to all of that. Well, towards the end. But that was nice. Their friendship's still intact. They're moving Nia around. She's getting to know everybody. Mm-hmm. So I like that she's moving around. But Seema, I tell you, I think she's supposedly the Samantha-esque character because I felt like that was a Samantha moment. When he pulled out, he goes, I have ED. Now, I got to say something really quick also on this too. My life's just paralleling all this stuff. No, I don't have ED myself.
Okay. I was like, whoa. I mean, you're being
Emily May, just to tell you and the viewers, no, it's not me. No, not me, girl. So I'd be scared. I said, wait a minute, I'm saying that. Meaning, I watched a series called Swiping America.
Okay.
It's on Max. I think it's on Max. Or the Hulu. One of these streaming services where 4 people go across America and date. Well, one of the guys turns out he has ED. It's revealed halfway through the season. And you're like, oh, that's why he's reacting. He's getting my nerves. But now when he revealed it, was like, oh, that makes sense. So anyway, so ED is out there apparently. I mean, I'm just like, it's just kind of like whatever. So homeboy pulls out a penis pump. I was like, oh, we're talking about penis pumps now. On that, it's very second scene. How did you about that whole scene?
I mean, I was pretty shocked because I was like, oh, it's getting spicy. And then, I was like, oh, it's going that direction. I think we were talking about other issues 2 episodes ago with Harry, yes. Or was it last episode?
It was Chelly's
right? Yeah. I think it's normal to talk about these issues. Like, we talked about them back, 20 years ago. So we're going to talk about them now. So I think it was surprising though, but hilarious. And this was like the most Samantha-esque thing. Because I feel like she had always like the most outrageous things happen to her. And she's so open about them. And I was like, oh, this is a Samantha moment right here.
Very much. And when Seema later, after they finished, pulled out a little vibrator and he got all mad. They're like, your body goes, your pump goes. I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. I thought it was just like, they're really going there. This whole, I was like, I mean, it's hilarious. And then when he left, go into the other room and she starts again, goes, really? You're doing it? Something? And like, I thought that was very Samantha-esque, but I thought it was really funny. I did. I laughed. It was silly, and I laughed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable thing to talk about, obviously. Like, people this age are gonna be going through that stuff, so you gotta talk about it, right? But they did it in such a funny way where it's like awkward, but like they still want to like satisfy each other, and it was pretty funny.
Well, she said, she goes, there's been many times I had to take care of myself afterwards anyway. But he seems nice. And like what she said was like 30 minutes of amazing foreplay and intermission. I was like, intermission. Then she goes, about this much of interest of a B plus sex. I said, B plus sex. I was laughing. I just thought the dialogue was funny. I thought it was hilarious. Which is like an intermission. And I was like, that. It wasn't intermission. Remember, he stopped her. She was like, what are you doing? He pulled out a little case. I was like, yeah, what is he doing? Like, I was like, I didn't know what he was going to do. And then, yes. And then when he actually simulated, I was like, oh, I know from soap operas, was like, wow, Daniel. I'm like, this is kind of crazy. You graduated. So yes. Like, oh, okay, yes.
I love it. I love it.
I guess it just goes to show that, like you said, I think at any age, sometimes everybody has something, I guess. So you have to decide what can you handle.
Like, no one's perfect, right? Like, sex is messy, right? Like, it involves so many things, right? So this is what the show addresses, right? Relationships, chemistry, how sex works, how sex doesn't work, all of that. So it makes sense that they're like addressing these things because it's a normal thing. And they just do it in such a funny way because it's funny because it's so blatantly out there, because I feel like we don't talk about it enough, that when we watch it like this, the situationally, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree. And then just a quick part was LW and her man, Herbert, having sex with the wig on. This was really George Lozzie did. But again, it moves story forward. They have to really, she's like, I know you're gonna run for office, but you don't forget to have some fun. He's a little nervous because everybody's been watching him. So I'm curious to see if that comes back later in the season.
Yeah, like he cuts loose or something and then causes some scene or something.
Yeah, or she does or something. Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah. They set that up several times. I'm like, okay, something may go down later in the season that brings it home. But I just thought that they're such a playful sexual couple. I was kind of cool that they were behind the scenes, but she's like, have some fun, have fun. I'm like, yeah, but he is running for office. Gotta be careful these days. So I put that in the back of my head, like, okay, save that for later. Something may happen later.
There's smartphones. People can snap the wrong picture and then you're done for.
I know, that's very true. I've seen a few pictures of myself go, where did you get that picture from? I'm like, okay, it's not my good side. Like at all. All right. So two big storylines, as they are this one, was Miranda and Carrie. So they each had two big storylines. So we'll go over Miranda, obviously, first. Miranda and Shay. And and I thought it was fun because they are very realistic. I feel like they really do show us them. And one of the things I thought of you, of course, I don't think we're using this whole thing, with Miranda staying at her place and every morning going back home to make, I totally thought of you. I was like, oh no, everybody has to say about that. Making pancakes for Brady. Still no Steve, but it was Brady and her talking. I thought of you. We'll start there. I thought of you. Start there.
I mean, first of all, you are obviously not detached from your previous relationship yet. If you are going back every morning, getting up, getting flowers, getting some little pastries, things like that, you have to get up at 5 a.m. in order to go to your current husband's house that you're separated from, and take care of your 20-something-year-old son, who can make pancakes on their own, by the way, and make breakfast. Like, I'm sure they're fine. Even though she says, oh, you both won't eat otherwise. She needs to make her decision. She can't hold on to one life and then hold on to the other, because it's not going to be sustainable and it's not going to work. So she has to make that decision.
Right now she ain't. Right now she going back and forth, and and I did laugh because I've done it. hitting your foot on a chair or something, and so early, it made me laugh because she did it first, then Shay did later twice. I couldn't just stop laughing. Like, oh my god!
Well, you're like trying to sneak out. You're like either trying to sneak out and you're trying to be like really quiet and you're like, okay, they're not going to hear me, right? And then you like hit your freaking toe and you like want to throw an F-bomb out there and you're like,
I just thought, oh my god, that's so funny.
But,
I know that.
I just don't like this back and forth of like she's staying here, but then still attached to this other apartment that like she's obviously lived in for a very long time with her current husband. I'm going to keep saying that current husband. They are not divorced on paper.
Oh.
So I don't know. And I know there was a lot of things happening with Che and all that. So I'm very like still upset with Miranda.
Well, let's go there. So Che had a focus group. I've done a few of these before him.
Those are tough.
And done them. I've done both sides. And it was tough. They liked Tony Danza, didn't like her character. So apparently I guess they dropped the show or something. They're like, it just didn't work, I guess, with her. So she's going through her kind of crisis. We also see though, she's a night owl.
Did they officially drop the show? Did we find that out?
I feel like they said, so folks who are watching, let me know for sure. I feel like they said, she goes, they didn't like me, so I think they dropped. She goes, how am I afford this apartment?
Oh, okay. Well, maybe she's like speculating that they're going to drop it. I don't know. I didn't catch that. Whether
I thought okay. So please tell me if I could be wrong. But either way, she was like having this crisis. I'm 46 years old. I got to 46. Who am I? She is kind of messy. She is messy, and it's like still made her.
She's partying like she's 19. She's partying like she's 24 in the morning. Right. Like, what are you doing?
So she's still partying. So her husband too, that's hers also. Buys an apartment without really paying attention. There's a lot she think about. But she asked Miranda for space.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda goes, "Can I hug you?" That was a very tender moment though, because she did hug back. At first, she wasn't hugging. She hugged back, but she still needed the space.
Mm-hmm.
And so Miranda, I was actually kind of proud of Miranda that she didn't go off on her or anything, making it about herself. She was like, okay. And I thought that was very cool. I thought actually on some level. And they left it like that. We don't know. I mean, I don't think they're broken up, but you're right. There's so much going on this side in Brooklyn that's not handled.
I think Miranda needs to forget about Los Angeles, forget about Shay, like not forget completely, but set that aside for now. Deal with what's happening in Brooklyn, deal with the past relationships, because you can't go through one door if you haven't closed this other one. So she needs to go through that process. And I know we see a little glimpse of it in the trailer, like Steve hasn't found an apartment, I think. Right. So he might be having second thoughts too of like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this yet, because he might have this inkling that Miranda's still holding on a bit because she's showing up every morning, making coffee, squeezing orange juice and getting all the pancakes ready every morning. And by the way, who makes pancakes every morning?
I wish I could, but I don't. I know.
I was like, maybe once a week.
Yeah, exactly.
On a weekend when you have time.
You don't wake up come on, Emily. You don't wake up every morning and make your man fresh squeezed orange juice and have fresh pancakes every morning. What's wrong?
No, I'm up way before him and he can get his own ass breakfast. He's a grown ass man.
I do. I know her man.
And I love him. And I did make him breakfast on Saturday. I made him pancakes and bacon and all of that. So I did do it once in a while. But yeah, he's a grown person.
I love it. You're like, no, I don't.
He's a grown person. He'd rather have candy for breakfast.
Oh my God, you have candy, right? It's hilarious. Oh my God, I love it. But yes, I think this relationship, I really am like you, really invest. I really want to see what happens.
I know, I'm invested in both.
Right.
I've loved Steve. Yeah. I've loved Steve for so long. And I think this relationship with Shay is very good for Miranda, but I think it's also toxic at the same time. And it's a mixture. I feel like Miranda's losing her identity a bit, even though she's trying to form this new one or find her identity.
Great.
I feel like she's losing sight of who she, and I know she's talked about this about she's kind of is trying to put her past behind her, but she hasn't actually done that. And I think you can't hold on to two. She's juggling, right? You can't hold on to both. So she has to make that call. So, and it's going to be hard and tumultuous.
I'm glad you said that, because I think it's what it is too. She's trying to gain a new identity, but she doesn't let go of the old one.
Mm-hmm.
So she won't be fully formed until she deals with everything. And she said to Carrie, she still feels like the same time she said this in the season, like she can't say anything.
Yeah.
She can't do anything because she feels guilt. So she feels guilt above everything else. That's not good.
And maybe that's driving these breakfast, run-ins, right? Where she feels so guilty that she's like, all right, I have to go make breakfast. But what I wonder is like, what other things is she doing for them? Like, is she doing laundry? Is she doing like other household partner kind of things? Or is she just running away to go have fun over here and then like business over here? So I think she really needs to like, and she keeps saying this, that like she's guilty. But if she's guilty, then that's something she needs to deal with internally and then figure out what those actions are that she needs to take in order to solve that issue. And she's just not addressing it at all.
No, she isn't. She is not. And also that focus group, I think, was an acknowledgement to the fans. A lot of folks first season didn't like Shay.
Yeah.
Oh, that was kind of an interesting thing. I don't have a problem with Shay, folks. I don't have a problem with Shay. I know in the chat, I know you say you don't like Shay. I don't have a problem with Shay, but I know a lot of people do have a problem with her. So, but I'm sorry for them, I should say. So it's funny that it is focus group about a show about. Obviously, that was a meta moment for us too.
Yeah. I think it's also like a commentary. Like the way I took it was, I could see that like your point there as well. But I also took it as a commentary on how because it was another non-binary person making that comment, that I felt like it was a commentary on how media and pop culture portrays non-binary characters in stories. So I felt like it was you're right, like it was kind of this meta moment. But it's also like a reflection of like, how are these characters portrayed? Are they accurate? Are they authentic? And so I think that is a way for like it's kind of a way for audiences to think about that as we're looking at kind of a dual shows here.
I agree with that. I think it's both. I think it's both. I think you're right. I think it's both, because the person was non-binary and said, "Why?" Like she say, and remember she did say that in that meeting. She said, "I know this is not going to work," and they didn't listen to her. And that's that's a commentary. Oh, everything goes on in Hollywood and TV shows are produced. And then it's a whole commentary. Yeah. It's all those things.
I mean, it's a commentary of like having those voices in the room and having those voices speak out. Sometimes they're silenced and sometimes you speak up, like what we've seen, and they don't go with that idea, but you still want to be a part of something. You still want to be a part of it. So you fight for as much space as you can in that moment and in that, in that work. And even every little bit helps, right? Every little bit gets you closer to that final goal. And here, obviously, it didn't work out in their favor at this point in time. So
we'll see what happens. Good. That's a good. We always spend a lot of time, guys. At that relationship, I think we both are like, okay, what's going to happen with that one? So that's good. Then the last thing, of course, is Miss Carrie Bradshaw. And for 1 second. Okay, so Carrie is on the phone in the bike lane. And when the person runs into her, they stop, they don't really show his face. They keep showing pieces of him. And I was like, that's not Aiden, is it, right? I thought for a second, like a split second, then I was like, oh no, that's not him. But I mean, at first I was like, because his voice didn't sound like it. And he was talking, I was like, wait, but that character is Mariska Hargitay's husband in real life. And he was a great character on a show called Younger. I loved Younger.
I loved that show.
And he played the boss. And the person with the love interest of homegirl who said she was younger. I'm blinking out his name, Peter August. I think it's something, not Peter August. I can't think his name right now, but anyway, he's hot. been around for a long time. But she broke his wrist. I'm not a big fan of bike lanes myself because I'm a person who walks, so it bugs me. Hi, Leopardess. It bugs me. But anyway, so their meet cute is they have to go to a urgent care on 14th. And that's where it starts. Well, so what do you think about that?
Well, I love this. This meet cute was a little dangerous. I wasn't sure if this was gonna be. I was a little nervous that this was gonna be like Carrie was gonna get scammed or something. I was like, oh man, just like the whole credit card thing happened, and I was like, oh, is he gonna like try to get money from her and all this? But I thought it was cute. It was kind of a funny way because I feel like this has happened to Carrie before. She's had moments like this, so it kind of felt very Carrie Bradshaw to have her knock someone like because she's clumsily like she's always kind of clumsy sometimes. So I like it.
In the chat, the guy is hot. No, he's hot. I'm saying he's hot.
And he is hot. I'd be like, who is this guy? Mariska Hargitay's lucky.
Yes, she is.
I was like, damn, she gets to go home with that every night.
She is. They've been married for years. They're regularly coming. I love his apartment. Yes, his place was the bomb.
Seriously, a loft apartment with like beautiful. I mean, he's in tech. He obviously builds these apps, so like he's making some money.
Yes.
But that's a couple $1 million apartment right there
in New York. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We said was it West 24th and 25th? Because they had the same address. But she's 73rd, West 73rd. I want to say I would say it's way down in the Flatiron district, which is money. I'll say, I know it's down there.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, well, Flatiron or Gramercy Park. No, Gramercy Park's a little further up. But I thought you said 245, 235, West 25th or 24th. So it's down there. It's close to Chelsea. And that's where everything
that's you're going to have some nice natural light. Beautiful.
That's all right. It is. It's nice that I like that area. It's very nice. But anywho, we both know New York, so that's why we know the area. But anyway, it's like so he has money. But the thing is, he has this app he's trying to put together, and he has a partner. I love that part too. My partner,
business partner,
not husband. Okay. I thought, okay, they're cute. They're working it out. And has some cute banter. She waited for him, that kind of stuff. But that place was cute. The way you just walk in the stairs, and he come in this way, and he was upstairs. Just the whole shot was beautiful. All the shots were beautiful. But that guy kept getting in the way of them. It was so Sex and the City.
And Paul, right?
Paul, that's right, Paul. It's like Carrie. She's like, and she was next to the phone, and she was I couldn't stop laughing. That was hilarious. Like that's old Sex and the City. That's old Sex and the City. That's hilarious. I loved it. But yeah, he's basically he said, you're basically you have a wife. He's your wife because you're launching something and he needs your time.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people are married to their work. So this was an example that I mean, it was interesting that he said he was never been married before.
Yeah, never. So
we don't know if like maybe he's had long-term partners, long-term girlfriends, but we don't know. We didn't really learn that much about him except he's married to his work. They obviously had this big romantic moment. We thought it was really gonna it was getting pretty far. But obviously business got in the way. Not the fun business.
Yes. Anne or I trust your name. Yes. That was Emily's whole thing. It's just that she feels justice for Steve too, is what she wants also in the chat.
Justice for Steve. Yes.
For Steve. She does too. And I get the points you guys are all making, I totally agree. I'm like, it's kind of like they just shove them aside and that's it. We don't know what's going on. So yeah, I want justice for Steve too. So I agree with you. We want justice for Steve in the chat. So but yes, so you're married to your job. I would say I have work husbands and work wives, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like that was it. I mean, it was, but the metaphor she used, because they always say it's like riding a bike, anything, just riding a bike. And she's like, just like that, I got back on a bike. And I thought that was kind of cool. And you saw when she was walking down the street, a guy with a bike was going up another stoop. And they had that shot, like the classic Sex and the City shot where they pan out and it's a neighborhood in New York. And
Yeah.
really, I miss it so much. When I see this, I was like, because they really film in the streets of New York. They film in New York.
Yeah.
There's no joke. They actually, I'm seeing all these behind the scenes stuff on TikTok. They film in New York. So when they pan out, and I've walked those streets, at those tree-lined streets at night in New York, and just skipping along down, just happy. I'm like, that's New York, Emily. It's New York.
I know. And like these shots are what make New York City a character in the show. Is we see the little lights on the stoop. We see people doing things in their houses and their walk-ups, and like it's a vibrant. People are walking, people are getting their coffee, they're shopping. Like you feel it come to life. And like that's what these shots, even from the original show, little moments, that's what it's a whole other character.
I remember when Miranda moved to the meatpacking district, and I had to explain to my friends who'd never been to New York, were like, what? I go, okay, it actually was an area where they did a lot of meatpacking. Like it literally was. So when I was a kid, you could smell the meat. Like you still kind of, like it was always just kind of, but now I said, now it's a hot spot. And I said, and I learned that from watching Sex and the City, kind of like, it's a hot spot. And yeah, it's a hot spot. Because a lot of folks don't know. Like I remember at Hell's Kitchen, they're like, "What's Hell's Kitchen?" I'm like, "Oh,
yeah, no one would go." And then now it's like
everyone went there. Now it's a hit. That's a hit. There's a place called Empanada Mama's on 8th and I think 52nd or 53rd. I love it. Anyway, but there are areas, but the names are like, they've heard of West Village, they've heard of Chelsea, like they don't know what meatpacking was. So I remember Sex and the City also gave education about New York to folks.
And then there were stores that became famous because they were on Sex and the City, like the cupcakes and all of these other.
Oh my God. Yes, Magnolia's Bakery. Oh my God.
Yes, like all of these places were like Cosmopolitans became like the drink that everyone wanted because of this show.
Sure.
And Cosmos aren't that like they're not very good. Like
they're okay. They're okay.
And more sugar. But it made it. The Cosmo was a character itself.
It was.
Like,
I like my drink stronger. That shit don't do much. But yeah, it's like I get it.
I had my fair share of Cosmos. Like, not gonna lie.
So did I. But I like stronger. Yeah. But no, the Cosmo. But it just reminded me of the Magnolia Bakery. I remember it being in New York, and a line was down the street just because of Sex and the City. You're right about it. It's a little, and actually, folks, it's like a little tiny. You can barely walk in. And it's all cupcakes. That's all it was back then. It was just one little store. And it was huge. Jimmy Choo's. It's huge because of that. We just all kind. Oh, Hell's Kitchen makes you think of Daredevil because he lives there. What a bump. Like, that's cute. But yeah, it's just so funny how you're right. There were so many things. Oh, I said it right the first time, Anne. Okay, very good. But it's all these things are characters in. It's the fifth lady. It was the fifth lady. Like you said, it was the fifth lady. And so you learned all these different things. When they show Rockefeller Center, I'm telling you folks, I don't care where I've lived. When I was in New York in the wintertime, and on the one side of the Macy's building, they played the music and they showed up, and you turn to the other side, and there's Rockefeller Center with that giant tree and people just ice skating around it. There's nothing like it. It's to me, that is like winter wonderland, New York.
Yeah, now they do they light up all of those stores and they do little like Christmas pop-ups, and then they do like huge light shows on the buildings now. And now it's so much more because it's a destination. Everyone wants to go. But Rockefeller, the tree, and the ice skating, have your little hot cocoa, and even if you just watch people kind of go around, because I'm not a skater. You don't want me doing that, but it's magical. And I remember I went a few years ago in December, and it was like beginning of December before Christmas. It was a little crispy outside. It has that winter crisp in the air that I can't even describe unless you experience it, but it's magical. So magical. Sorry, we could talk about New York all day.
We totally could. So anyway, so that's that last shot, as you guys were saying, that last shot was beautiful. Pulling up classics and pulling up her walking out, doing her thing and going down the street to another adventure, so to speak. And it was like she overcame whatever kind of scariness. I think now she's ready to date.
I think so too. I think it was just enough where she kind of got over that initial kind of nervousness. And I think she's ready. So maybe they set it up in the trailer.
Should we talk about that right now, real quick, kids?
Let's talk about
it. Well, I said this is mid-season, I think, because I think there's 11 episodes, I think.
Yeah. So someone has been stalking one of our favorite exes on probably social media or something, because this is the first time that it's been mentioned.
Yes. So I watched this guy's YouTube channel. He walks around New York City. Oh, there's several who do that. Yeah, there's several who do that. I love those videos. But yes, it looks like someone. I mean, it's a spoil. It's kind of, should we say it out loud? I mean, it's a spoiler alert.
Well, it's a spoiler. I think they've already mentioned it. There's pictures and there's video.
Okay, so Emily, you say it.
Okay, well, they teased that they teased that Aiden is going to be back soon. I don't know if this episode, but maybe the next episode.
Right, because the season, there's not many episodes left anyway. So if we're halfway through, you gotta get them on there. And you can't have Aiden on for one episode. It has to be several. It can't be just one.
No, it has to be a few. And it sounds like he's divorced. 5 years ago, he got a divorce. I'm so excited. I hope that it pays off. I'm trying to not get my hopes up.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And when does Samantha show up?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I'm trying to think. Is it a good occasion or a bad occasion?
That's what I keep thinking, because I was thinking she delivered the flowers for Big's funeral and just got them delivered.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if it's going to be like the juxtaposition of that is like she'll come back when it's a happy occasion.
Because I'm assuming it's with Carrie.
I'm assuming it's it's so funny. Every time like there's some call when like Carrie's picking up the phone, I'm like, is it Samantha?
I know.
Who is it going to be? Because they don't necessarily show the person yet, right? No. So I'm like, is it Samantha? But I hear from conversations and rumors and interviews that it's a text message. So it's not a conversation necessarily.
I didn't hear that. Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh, wow.
So maybe it's a short conversation. I don't know. Lots of people are speculating.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's not in the same room. So we know that already. But I'm assuming it's with Carrie. I'm assuming. You guys in chat, see with anything. It's with Carrie. But we don't know happy or sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping it's happy because we already had a lot of very depressing things happen this season and last.
Oh, somebody in chat says maybe on the anniversary of Big's death.
Has it already been a year though?
Hasn't been a year yet. The time period I can't tell anymore because I don't know what season. I can't remember what season. I can't remember what.
Yeah, it's already been a year because they talk about how the second year is the hardest.
Oh, she did say that. Bitsy did say that.
The second and third year is the hardest.
They don't tell you this, but the second and third year is the hardest. She did say that.
Yeah.
So the time, you can't tell time.
I don't know. But I also, real quick, not related to Carrie and Aiden, but I'm also curious about Steve and Miranda, because we saw in the trailer that Steve hasn't found an apartment. Miranda yells at him, and I think that's going to be a really intense scene. And I don't know what's going to come out of it.
Well, I'm going to speculate. Oh my God!
You think they're going to blow up and then actually like reconnect?
I don't want to say it out loud. Don't get our hopes up. Because sometimes angry sex happens. I'm just saying. Remember, she was lacking passion. That's what led to this whole thing.
I mean, I have to tell you, when you're angry and you use that energy for good, I'm telling you, that's some good shit right there.
I'm all. Yes. I'm with you 1,000%. So I'm like,
that frustration leads to some things.
I know. And so my thing is, she didn't have the whole thing started. She felt bored. They had a routine and there was no passion. Getting into a fight, because Miranda's a little freaky like that, may turn her on. Oh, this is the same thing. I think angry sex too. See the chat? I know. I'm like, I'm saying, I'm going, because the trailer
for like 5 years they haven't talked. Like 10 years they haven't spoken.
Right. So I'm saying my whole thing is The trailer makes it seem like they're gonna fight and then they're gonna break up and be like, that's it. I'm thinking, well, if it's the other way around, they fight and then she got to tell Che she slept with Steve.
Oof.
And how will Che actually? Will Che be so like, oh, it's okay? I don't think so.
I don't know, but the thing is, Che's done stuff with her with
I
their
know.
ex, so
I know. So that's what I'm saying.
maybe. Remember, I speculated that it might turn into a
You did say that. Yes.
threesome, an open marriage, maybe. Maybe Steve and Miranda get together, and Miranda still wants Che, and they work on some agreement. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just throwing it out there.
I know.
I mean, I am all Steve. I am all Team Steve. So just don't get me wrong. I am hashtag Team Steve, hashtag Justice for Steve. Let's tweet it out there.
She's made it known. As I said, I always think of her. She is Justice for Steve, folks. The chat agrees with you. They're with you. But it was like they agree. So yeah, who knows? But I was like, I thought about that and I go, it seems like it'd be like they fight and then she storms out or he storms out.
Yeah.
Like, no, what if it's the opposite? What if they fight, they start kissing, and that? So think
And
about
just
that.
like that.
And just like just like that. And just like that. That's pretty funny, Emily. So folks, that's what we'll end it right there. That's actually hilarious. I'll end it right there. Thanks to the chat room. Guys came in. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for chatting with us. Share. You guys are watching our show. Thank you. And little by little, we're working it out here. We get some views. So thank you so much for watching us. We have fun doing it. So that's the whole point. We're going to watch it anyway. So like I was going to watch it anyway. So I'm liking the views are going up a little bit. So thank you for watching us. We know you have many choices in your and just like that world. So thanks for choosing us at JLJ Media. Emily May, where can they find you and what's all the goodness that you're doing out there?
Yeah, you can follow me on all social platforms. I know there's a million out there, but I try to keep the same name. So it's Emily Mayheller everywhere. So come find me. Let's chat. You can message me. Hashtag Team Steve.
Yeah, are you on Threads yet? I haven't done it yet.
I am on Threads. You can follow me there too.
I gotta do it. I just haven't done it yet. Oh my God.
It's so easy. Literally, it connects to your Instagram. And I'm sure they have all my info anyway. So there you go. Don't post anything up there you don't want your grandma to see.
My grandma was raunchy, so I guess it's fine. I'm James Lott Jr. You're too right, exactly. You're from New York. You're fine. Yeah. I'm James Lott Jr. And you can follow me where all James Lott Jr.'s are at James Lott Jr. and also media platforms. JLJ Media is the company. And we're here. We have plenty of shows for you to watch, but you can also watch our season 1. We did season 1. We did the documentaries. Check those out also as you're checking out our episodes. We love it. We'll see you here. We're always here live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. Live.